Hey guys, what's up and welcome to a new Tesla update video. So as usual today, let's go over the market, see what happened, what does it mean, and yeah, what can we expect? So guys, Tesla ending the day with another massive move up today, for almost 5%, 4.78% for $840.23. Now, I did adjust my lines a little bit because I mean, essentially I just found like a more accurate way of looking at it. But essentially, we're in this little move now. It's interesting. So I'm really close to like actually just straight up flipping bullish. Like I'm really close. I'm not there just yet. Like I'll be completely transparent. I'm not there just yet, but it's like, it's close, man. Like I can almost like see the light at the end of the tunnel, if that makes sense, right? So you can see just based off this chart alone, I think this in itself, I'm actually made it on the 4-hour, but this alone should kind of give you a pretty decent idea, right? So essentially we're in this downward channel, right? So essentially the way it works is if you put this here, you can see if you line it up with all these touch points up here like this, if you line it up, something like this is like a more, you know, giving it a lot of room, and this is kind of like, you know, a little more generous, I guess. But you can see essentially regardless, you know, of which way you line it up, like obviously it's not gonna be absolute perfect, but like generally it's like it's right at the line. Like in my opinion, I think tomorrow will be extremely crucial. I think tomorrow will be the day where we determine if we're breaking out or not from this, from the current downtrend that we're in, right? So that's going to be really important. I think tomorrow will be the day that determines it. And the way you want to look at it is essentially, first of all, where do we open up? And what happens? If we open up essentially above from where we close today, at any point above from where we close today, and we don't drop below like maybe 835 especially, but like maybe like 837, 838, something like that. Essentially, if we don't really fall much lower than where we open and from where we closed today, that's bullish. Because essentially what that would mean is that let's say we open up slightly above from where we close today. So let's say we open up, I don't know, 0.5% or something. I don't know, whatever. But let's say we open up at like 844 as an example tomorrow. Tomorrow market opens, 844 is the price we open at. Cool. And let's say we drop. And let's say we drop to like 839, 838, maybe 837, something like that, you know, at worst. And then we just instantly bounce back up and start moving upwards. Perfect. That's essentially what you want to see. And that means that we broke out, we tested quickly, and then we bounced off and continued the rally upwards. That's essentially like the ideal case, if that makes sense. Like that's like the bull case, essentially. The not so bull case, the part that will be like, okay, you know what? We're actually not ready to break out yet. We had a lot of green, but it's time to cool off a little bit. And then, you know, maybe try again kind of thing. You know, maybe like, I don't know, next week or something like that. Would be essentially if we, number one, open up essentially around where we closed, or even worse, for the downside, even worse, below where we closed today. And then we essentially do a similar thing where we bounce up, probably test like 840 one more time right here, also which is where we closed. That'll be like a double rejection of where we closed plus the actual, you know, the downtrend line that we're still in, and then we move downwards. That will be the, I guess, bear case, if you will. So those are the two things you want to look at, and I think tomorrow will pretty much determine that, unless something weird happens tomorrow, and it doesn't. It should. There's a decent chance tomorrow will give us the idea as to you know, where we're probably going to be moving going into Friday, and especially into next week. I think will be really important. So that's essentially what I'm seeing right now, guys. Overall across the market, huge moves today. You know, I mean, the QQQ, nice bullish like move upwards, very bullish actually. It's like I cannot believe that the indices are moving like this. It's honestly quite ridiculous. It's just insane, but it is what it is, I guess. You know, it is what it is. So extremely bullish upward move today on the QQQ, on the SPY, just insane bullishness. Like I honestly am shocked that it's moving like this. It's absolutely surreal. But again, you know, the issue with these moves, guys, is that, well, I mean, there's a lot of gaps. There's a gap here. This gap actually got filled today, which is good. That's nice. But there's a gap all the way down here that we haven't filled yet. So keep that in mind, especially the indices. Indices love filling these gaps. Just keep that in mind, guys. This right here, this gap is essentially the current bear case. If this gap gets filled by the SPY, so let's say in theory, the SPY does have the bear case scenario play out, and it somehow does decide to plummet all the way back down to like this 417 to fill the gap, well, that would essentially be Tesla playing out the bear case here and probably coming down to like retest like 750, 730, maybe even 700. That would essentially be the bear case play overall. Will it happen? I don't know. But I definitely wouldn't rule it out just yet. You know, you always want to be cautious, especially in these markets, guys. Especially in these markets, you want to be cautious. You don't want to be like you don't want to get trapped, essentially is the way I'm saying it. There's, I promise you, like I would not be surprised whatsoever if this just ends up being a trap and then we just plummet tomorrow or Friday. I hope it doesn't, obviously, I am overall a bull, not a bear. But like it wouldn't surprise me, man. I mean, considering Tesla also has gaps, which it actually did fill today's gap, which is good, actually, really, really good. But I think does it not have another gap? I swear it has gaps, unless I'm missing something here. Does it not have any gaps? I swear I thought so we gapped up here. We actually filled the gaps, I think. Never mind. Wow, okay, that's actually okay. That's pretty good. It looks like we have gaps though, but I guess we don't. Nice. Okay, that's actually a good sign. I do like the fact that we have no gaps down here. I thought we had gaps here, but we don't. That's a good sign. I like that. That's pretty bullish actually, in my opinion. But again, I still wouldn't be surprised if. So I actually would flip my overall thesis from yesterday, where I said I still think it's like a 70% chance that we plummet down out of this, wedge. I actually would change that. I actually think it's, honestly, at this point, I really think it's like a 50-50. I really do. I really think this can go either way. Again, I really don't think that we're going to break out just yet. I really wouldn't be surprised if this is a small bull trap. But having said that, instead of going breaking to the downside, now what I wouldn't be surprised is if we break down to like maybe 800, maybe like 780, something like that, bounce off of that, and then break upwards. That is actually something now I wouldn't be surprised to see anymore based on today's movement. Today's movement was quite a bullish movement. So that changes my kind of, projection a little bit now, because it just, I mean, this is quite a movement, especially after yesterday's. So I wouldn't be surprised if we bounce down to 800, between 780 and 800, probably get, nice support there. And then off of that, bounce up, finally break out, and then really start looking for some moves, which actually would align fairly well with next week. I think next week is I think Berlin is starting deliveries next week, if I'm not mistaken, which would actually align with that perfectly as well. And that would be like the catalyst potentially. Who knows? We'll see. It's hard to say, of course, in this kind of market, but that's essentially what I'm seeing right now, guys. The good thing about this movement today was the fact that it was actually on higher volume. Now, this one I would take it with a little bit of grain of salt. Now, it is good. Don't get me wrong. A big push, higher volume, fantastic. Don't get me wrong. That is good. That is what you want to see. That is amazing. But the excuse that the bears can make, at least in this case, is the fact that, well, today was the FOMC meeting, which ended up actually being bad into good, which is why we kind of plummeted and then rallied again. But because it was the FOMC meeting, that could be the excuse as to the increase in volume today, as opposed to a more kind of organic, if you will, volume increase. So keep that in mind, just something to keep in mind. I'm just kind of giving you guys all the aspects here from the bull and the bear cases, right? So so you're ready for any outcome here. You're not really hopefully getting too surprised by any of the moves. But essentially that's what I'm seeing, guys. On the daily, you can see it kind of looks a little bit nicer and cleaner, right? So we're essentially just still within this little wedge here. This is essentially like a very clean looking wedge, something like that. On the daily, it still very much looks like we're in it. So essentially, again, guys, what I would want to see is, I pretty much don't want to see 840 break. Like 840 needs to hold, like maybe 837 to 38, like worst case. Like you can't go too much farther below that, or else that would essentially confirm that we're not ready to break out just yet. So essentially for tomorrow, guys, you want to see like at the very least like 837-ish hold. Like you don't want to go too far below that, in my opinion. So we'll see what happens tomorrow, but that's essentially what I'm seeing right now, guys. Let me know what you think about it down below. I am definitely starting to flip more bullish. I'm starting to, get better ideas and better like feelings that, yeah, you know what? We actually might finally be ready to start looking to move upwards and start breaking out. Again, all it takes is one headline to be like, yeah, never mind. And we just plummet down. And the flip side, all it takes is one headline to be like, yeah, everything is good in Ukraine, Russia, negotiations went perfect, agreements have been made, and then we just moon the hell out of here and probably who knows where we'll go at that point, probably pretty far up. So just keep that in mind, guys. But even if we do break out, keep in mind we are still dealing with some resistance above that, right? We have the red line that we have had issues plenty times. That's going to be on the daily, somewhere just sitting around, the 860-ish level, and then we still have the teal line that's sitting around like the 870 to 880 level. Like even if we break out of this, that's the first step, but we still have like two more steps after that, being the red line and the teal line that we have to break. And the teal line, I think, will be extremely difficult, but not impossible. So we'll see what happens with that, ladies and gentlemen. But yeah, that's all I have to say for this one. Definitely looking more bullish than it did yesterday, but I still wouldn't, hold my breath just yet for that, guys. I would still be cautiously positive, I guess, cautiously bullish, if that makes sense. So that's all I have to say for today, guys. We'll see tomorrow. Tomorrow, I think, will be extremely important. I think very important, actually, to give us a better idea as to how we will move into the rest of this week, being Friday, and of course, especially into next week. But yeah, tomorrow, I think, will be extremely important. So all eyes on tomorrow. We'll see what happens. You know what the levels I'm looking for. You know what I want to hold and want to break for both moves, upwards and downwards. So all that being said and done, guys, thanks for watching, and I'll see you for tomorrow's video. Peace.